Aaron Long, the Aaron Long.
E, capital.
Capital THE. Aaron Long is how you just joined the Riverside studio, and I lost it. So we're off to a great start. The Aaron Long, welcome to Where the Climate Things Are. This has been a long
Thanks
time
for having me.
coming.
It has. This has been, kind of a pipe dream a long time ago, but here we are. We made it.
Yeah, we made it. Aaron, can you introduce yourself to everybody? Let's start there.
Well, as you can see, I'm a bit of a wise ass. I guess that would be the first descriptor. But my name is Aaron Long. I'm a race director with Daybreak Racing. We've got a dozen or so events, mostly in Oregon, but we've got one in Washington and one down in the Bay Area in California. I'm a big fan of the outdoors. Love being outside, doing a lot of different stuff. Water sports, wind sports, hiking, running. I'm a bad skier, but I can ski. I guess what else? I'm a Taurus, which means I'm stubborn.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll get some astrology brought into the convo real quick. So that's if you didn't know, now you do.
I didn't know.
I'd say one of my least favorite things to do is putting on socks. Just hate it. It's a trivial task. That I don't care for. Other things about me, I really love like cover music, covers of songs. It's probably my favorite things, just to see what different artists do with the same familiar song. I find that very fun and intriguing. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but so I'm kind of a cover guy. But that's kind of me in a nutshell.
That might be the best introduction I've ever heard of anyone. I can't stop laughing about the songs. That's so, I mean that. That's a really good introduction. I mean, I feel like if I didn't know you, now I know you really well. Not a socks putting on guy. But okay, wait, can I ask a follow-up question to that? Do you enjoy
absolutely
wearing socks, like when they're on? Do you like socks, or are you just I don't really like socks?
Once they're on, here we are, let's go. But it's more the process. It's not the process of maybe I just had too many, brittle, fragile running socks that you become too tight. And they say don't put it in the dryer, but guess what? I do.
Yeah.
And they just get tight and not my favorite thing to do in the morning. So.
Yeah, I get that. Wow, gosh. Yeah. I feel like I'm going to see you at a race and be like, he has socks on. Here we are. Let's go. I'm going to quote you directly. Here we are. Let's go. Socks are on.
But locked in.
The shoes might not be on, but the socks are on.
So. As I've talked with my brother Jeremy several times, it is literally the worst part of my day is putting on those socks.
Oh.
I've actually think I sent him a pic or a video, back when I was living on the East Coast, welcome to the worst part of my day. So,
worst part of the day.
I'm keeping it real from
you are
moments into our conversation.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Also, we need to talk about paddleboarding, which I didn't know you were as much of a fan as I am. My paddleboard sits right there. I too paddleboard, mostly out of necessity because my knee, which we don't have to dwell on. Anyways, we'll get into paddleboarding.
Well, making it about you. Shocker.
Yeah, I know. See, look at this. The best intro and the rudest guest. Insults. Exactly.
Checkbox.
Right. Check the box all the way around. Okay. This is gonna be I'm super excited to ask you this question. But I was gonna preface it. I'm not gonna preface it. I'm gonna stop. Okay. What was your aha moment on climate change?
I'd say I've already said I like to be outside. So, the longer I'm in a place, the more things become prevalent. And, you start to notice things I don't remember it being, this, I don't remember lakes in Maine melting out this early, or I don't remember, our first winter here in Oregon, we had a lot of snow. And then the next one, we didn't have that much because we only missed 2 days of school. And then this past winter, we've had no snow. and that kind of translates to, what I do with Daybreak and putting on events. And, we, are pretty aware of, not just race week weather or race day weather, but, we've had a pretty light, an extremely light snowpack up in the mountains, Mount Hood. We've got a couple events coming up in August up there. And how we're able to get up to higher elevations, 5,000, 6,000 feet, and not really have to deal with snow. And here we are at the beginning of June, which is not really something that we've had to deal with, and how that kind of trickles down into impacts with, fire season is becoming, has been, a pretty significant part of, life in the Northwest is, how things, what the snowpack looks like, how quickly things are going to melt out. And then we're always preparing for fire season, but, with events happening in August when it's usually the warmest, driest time of the year here, how those impact our events specifically is, something we have to be keenly aware of kind of at all times. So I would say that one, just kind of existing, being a human in the outdoor space has been like, this wasn't like this, or the water levels are way, way lower than they have been. And, so that's, I don't know if that's an aha moment. It's just kind of a over time, just awareness of where I am.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you're doing, whether you're putting on events or you're even racing them or partaking in events, that's an easy marker over the years to say, like, this weekend last year, wasn't this hot? Or, I mean, I'm thinking, like, I remember when we first started having this conversation, I'm laughing because we've had many conversations over the years, but when we first started having the conversation about should we do a podcast episode, we were sitting in a lobby of a hotel in air conditioning where it was like 90 degrees outside. Not quite, but it was 80 something.
Literal record heat all week.
It was record heat. Yeah, and it was March, and so it was definitely a high temperature for the time and the region. And I remember, like, that race, a lot of people DNF'd or had a really tough race because of the the weather, the temperature, and I think that like really sparked this conversation. And obviously we've had many around this, but also, like, I feel like that was a moment that really was, like, I think, I don't know, I asked the aha moment thing, and then I also realized, like, I have aha moments every day, like, or all the time around climate. Like, that's another one, know? So yeah, super interesting. And you mentioned Maine. We've mentioned Maine a few times in the conversation. We'll get to Maine, but before we get to Maine, I'd love to hear a little more about your childhood and where you grew up, and, like, was outdoor play and recreation a part of your childhood, your upbringing, your, like, how you related to people? I feel like it's sort of, from, maybe I know a little bit more about you and, like, what I've heard, but I'd love to have you kind of, like, share that with everybody. And yeah, what was that like growing up in Oregon and, like, relating to the outdoors?
Was that one of the scripted questions you sent? Hold on.
It was. You can check the script and you'll see.
I guess you didn't read.
Look at the first one.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I usually go straight from start to, like, number 6 on the list. So,
well, if you saw, you probably went to number 6 because it said me being the queen of Tillamook Burn.
Oh yeah, and, that's a dramatic. That might be a podcast all on its own. So
I know, so dramatic. Okay, anyways, so back to the question at hand.
So dramatic. Yes. Childhood in Oregon. Yeah, lots of outside, lots of outdoors. I grew up in a small kind of blue collar community, Florence, Oregon. It's right on the Central Oregon coast. So we've got the Pacific Ocean. We've got the Siuslaw River. All right, everybody say it with me. Siuslaw. It's a hard one.
That is hard. Siuslaw? Is that the river that you grew up near?
That is the Siuslaw River. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So we grew up right next to the ocean, on the river. Tons of freshwater lakes that are all right there along the coast. And so I grew up around and next to different types of bodies of water all the time. We've got the Oregon Dunes National Recreation Area right there too. So that's, I grew up around ATV access in the sand dunes and along the beach. And as things progressed, sandboarding, which is snowboarding, but on sand.
Cool.
So those accesses, hiking trails, there's enough to where, we actually host two different events with Daybreak in the area, with Siuslaw Dunes, which is kind of our season kickoff. And then we've got another one, Cape Mountain, which is, 10 miles north of Florence, up on Cape Mountain. That's why. Where do you think it got its name?
Wait, is Perpetua near is Yachats near, or is that so far south?
Yachats is
I've been trained
it's about
on
20
that
miles north of. It's about 20 miles north of Florence. So
okay, cool.
Yeah, so tons and tons of coastal headland trails that kind of grew up, becoming a runner on, as I got older. So we spend a lot of time outside. There's an old school story that kind of rotates through my family about, I had this plastic car, but also like my bottle, but it was all foot powered. And when my mom found me down the street, I kind of passed out because I just got tired in my little plastic car. So I was always itching for an adventure, maybe since the early ages.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
What age was? How old was that? Were you?
I don't know. I want to say like maybe 2-ish, but it's a very different era. We'll say that.
Oh yeah, totally.
But yeah, spend a lot of time just being active, outside as often as possible, and that's kind of been the foundation and the roots of what I do now. So
yeah. Which is a good segue to another question, parallel path question of like running. You mentioned running already and trails and whatnot, but what was like the impetus of like you getting into running? How did you find the sport? Because I think what's interesting about talking to you about this sport, because we're both, well, you way more than me, but like are like in this ultra running world. I mean, we're both, whatever. I'm like lamenting my knee, making it about myself. See, all again, but I don't really run anymore. I don't really trail run anymore. I don't really run, period. But like you have a really interesting background in so many different distances and so many different types of running, I would say. Because even for me, like track is different than road, is different than trail, is different than ultra, whatever. So I was just curious, like take us through your journey to finding running, but then also like a little bit more about like the different kinds of running you found. And find.
I'll put my running information in the show notes, just to hyperlink. Yeah,
you're ultra sign up for something.
It's a Word doc from Microsoft 95. That was kind of the last time I was relevant. So if you have a 3.5-inch floppy drive, just right in there.
Oh, there's so many nostalgic things you just said. Okay, yes, continue. Floppy disk.
So I mean, I really started. I don't want to say I started running in middle school, but that's kind of where I first, was part of a team with the middle school track team. I was just like everybody else, pretty clueless, and I had no idea what I was doing. But I like to run, and Jeremy was super fast. So I was like, well, obviously I'm fast too. Whether I was or not, it was irrelevant. So I started just running 100 meters and 200 meters, just like, that's what you do if you go out for track and you don't know anything. You run 100 and 200. And then middle school coaches I said, hey, why don't you try the 1,500 meters? And like, they might as well said like, well, why don't you go run 1,000,000 miles right now? I'm like, so my stubborn Taurus 7th grade self was like, no, I don't want to do that. But here was like, I'm kind of a shy 7th grader, and it's like, well, I guess I'm doing what coach is telling me, and I ended up doing okay. I was like, I don't know place, I don't know time, but it was good enough to where the coach is like, okay, you could do this more often. So 8th grade kind of came, and that became more of a focus. But now that I knew what I was doing, sometimes there's that ignorance is bliss factors. Like you just go and you run as hard as you can, and it's like, well, now I've been there, and now I don't really want to suffer or deal with that. It's like I'm kind of a 100, 200 meter guy, and now that I'm 8th grade, now I kind of know everything too. So I've been there. But that definitely did not, prove out. By the time I got to my freshman year, funny story, I didn't even know what cross country was. When I going into high school, that's kind of, because I grew up in a very small town. So, you played football, you played basketball, and then you played baseball. But in middle school, we didn't have baseball. So the only thing to do was track. And that's kind of why I ended up there. But I certainly didn't know anything about what cross country was or how far. 5K? Are you kidding me?
Jeez, that's so long.
It's so long. And it took like 20 minutes. It's like 20 minutes of my day.
Okay, for some of us it takes 20 minutes to run a 5K.
Yeah.
Nice job.
So
I was just gonna say nice job making it about yourself, but this is about you. This is your
this
episode.
Is about me. Come on now.
Continue.
Good one. So my freshman year, I was like, well, I got a summer job, and I was actually washing dishes at a Chinese food restaurant in town, and that's what I was going to do. It was like I was going to work until right up until school starts, instead of seasons usually start a couple weeks before school starts, and but I was making big money, so like $4.50 an hour.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. 2-week paychecks, bringing home about $100 each time. So that's a big deal.
Yep.
So I didn't run cross country as a freshman. Got to track season, and I'm a 100 meter, 200 meter guy. Like this is what I want to do. This is what my friends are doing, and this is just it. So I spent all of my freshman year just kind of being terrible. To be completely honest. But at the end of that year, Jeremy, he told me, I don't want to say he threatened me, but I mean that's what kind of little brothers can do. Yeah. He definitely told me I had to run cross country, and so I did. And
wait, Jeremy just came up to you and was like, "Dude, you have to run this." Was he already running cross country?
We shared a bedroom. We shared a bedroom.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. For those that don't know,
growing up,
Jeremy,
we're actually brothers.
It's brother. Okay. Wait. So Jeremy was like, "You need to run cross country, or else." Like, what is the threat
you
here?
Need to. You're going to.
Okay.
And he has always been stronger and more powerful than me. So I was like, I guess I'm running cross country. I'll figure this out.
Wow, this is like the nicest podcast tribute to anyone. We're gonna have to like quote this in the show notes, and we send it to him, and that's so nice. Yeah, okay, so he was like, "You're gonna run." Is it because he knew your talent? Like what was the? He just was like, "I want you to do this sport with me," or was it like, I'm gonna make a lot of assumptions here, or was it like you're feeling a track?
I think it's probably a combination of all of it. Sometimes we don't see things in ourselves, and that's why we rely on those around us, whether it's coaches or parents or friends or family members or what have you, to help guide your path and help you navigate, because you clearly don't know, and I definitely didn't know. Like I didn't know anything, despite my claims at the time. So I did run cross country as a sophomore, and that I was one of the top 2 on JV. So I was like, okay, big deal, deal making it.
No problem. Yeah.
And then the summer after that, I went to Steens Mountain Running Camp, which is kind of in the southeastern portion of the state of Oregon, and I absolutely hated it. every step. That is not a lie. That is not an exaggeration.
You don't lie. Yeah.
Every step, every day was horrible. The Tuesday is called the big day, and it's all told, it's like 28 to 30 miles. I'm like, I'm a 100-meter runner. Come on.
Also, how old were you? Also, wait, this is still around, right? I've heard of this before.
Yep. They just celebrated their 50th year a couple years ago, and
and you were super young going to this thing, or was this the age?
Right.
Like,
and
what
it's not,
age
we're not
goes?
running. It's high school, primarily.
Okay.
And it's not, you're not running 50K or anything like that. It's, you're hiking down into canyons, and then it's mostly a hike day with a little bit of workout thrown in there in the lower canyons, and then you somehow survive the hike out, and then there's a longer easy run, back to camp once you reach the top of the rim again. And so every day was uncomfortable. It was out of my zone of what I thought running should be. I was sleeping on the ground. It was cold at night because it's up at elevation in the high desert, and super hot in the evening and during the day. And I'm a coastal kid where things moderate between 55 and 57 every day,
right,
throughout the course of the year. So now it's hot, it's cold. I'm having to eat strange foods, stuff. Like, I was a picky eater growing up, so now here I am, like biscuits and gravy. I hate that. Like,
you're like,
I've never tried it.
Yeah, sure.
And but it's one of those things where, like, you eat this or you don't.
Right, that's
kind of just, it's very simple. But we get back on the bus on the very last day, and it's just been gravel, dirt, sagebrush for a week, and now I'm back on this paved road. And I distinctly remember sitting on that bus, looking out the window back at where we came from, and I was thinking to myself, that was the best experience of my life.
Whoa.
And that was the cool moment where like, I knew that I didn't know. That was my first real distinct memory of saying, like, I'm growing up now and I'm going to figure this out one way or another. So I definitely point to that as a defining moment in my life. So I went on to have a pretty good junior year. I kind of was anywhere between the 4th and 7th man on varsity, and our team won the district title. Jeremy was on that team with me, and we'd won the district title, league title, conference title, whatever you want to call it, depending on where you're from. We won that for the first time in 25 years in the school's history. So that was a pretty big deal. During that same season, a guy by the name of Chris Johnson came on as an assistant coach, and he's been the head coach there now for almost 30 years. So he's been a pretty big impact and a mentor of mine, and both as an athlete, as a coach, and things of that nature. I went back to, I had a decent, kind of a late blooming track season in the spring of my junior year. Really started to put things together, and almost qualified for the state meet that year. But it really set the tone for how my summer training was going to go, and going back to Steens as a second time, and really being more open to these new experiences and these new challenges, and being willing to grow from them. But I had a really great experience at Steens the second time around. Ended up having a good cross country season. I was first team all league, second team all state, and our team won the state title for the first time in 30 years in the school's history. Which, again, just kind of building on that stair step approach, really set me up for a really great winter of training. I spent all winter, 6 a.m. meeting Chris Johnson at the weight room at school a couple times a week, and then we'd run in the afternoon, and that really set me up for kind of a breakout senior spring season on the track. And I set the school record in the 1500 and the 800, and I was part of the 4x4 relay team that set the school record, and our team won the state title for that too. So, and that really kind of launched what became honestly an underwhelming college career. I went in kind of really having some momentum, but I had a lot of coaches and school changes that were enough to where I ultimately just, it's the next coach, the next philosophy, the next program, and it's just something that I didn't ultimately believe in. And then as a coach now, it's like that's one of the first things I talk to my athletes about is like, if this is going to work, like you have to believe and you have to trust and you have to think that what we're doing is going to benefit you. And I use the example of like, if I'm talking to somebody who's a javelin thrower on the track team and it's like your workout, it's going to make you the best javelin thrower is to run 1,000 times 200 meters as fast as you can go with no rest. And that's going to make you the best javelin thrower. It's like, that's terrible training advice. But if you believe that that's going to help you, you have an opportunity to be successful because of it. Looking back, I didn't do that as an athlete. I didn't believe that this is what, it's just the next person trying to make me believe that their way is the way. And then, 3 months goes by or a season goes by and it's the next guy. I kind of look back and take ownership over my mistakes in that regard. But that's kind of my running journey as when I was younger. But I was always, kind of picking up bits and pieces on things that I liked. I've said a lot that some of the things that I implement now are stuff that I did not like. I tried to was like, this is terrible. Let's do it this way. And so, those negative experiences, those things that didn't go well, created an opportunity to learn from and improve on. So,
yeah.
Well,
and like if you're explaining it to somebody, which also this segues quite nicely into my next question about coaching, but like as a coach, I feel like if you've gone through it yourself, you're able to then say like, I know that you might be skeptical or like, here's why, like I've had the doubts that maybe you have standing in front of me right now, like receiving this information. And like, this is why I know this is the right thing to do. Like you've just experienced so much and you've been, it's sort of the like, you've been the user or the customer, whatever jargon you want to put in here. Like you've done the program or you've like, gone through it yourself. And I feel like that adds so much credibility as a coach and like then thus as an athlete to look at that coach being like, I've gone through this myself. I know this sucks or whatever. Like I know like you might have skeptical feelings towards this, but like here's why I know this is right, which I think is really cool. And I feel like added a lot of credibility as an athlete myself, like in high school, having coaches who are like, I've done this. I've literally done this. Like I was in your shoes and now I can that builds trust with an athlete, I think. So
right. Absolutely.
I think it's really cool. Yeah. And again, does set me up to ask you a little more about then your coaching career, which I know is still present, but like this gets us to Maine. This gets us to like the kind of post college, like so were you, open questions. Like how did you go from being an athlete to then like stepping into coaching? And the other piece I want to add here as I ask this question is like, one of the things that blew me away when we were talking about coaching was that you've coached, it seems like truly every level or every grade. I don't know how you want to say it, like every age of athlete. And you like zeroed in on an age group and on a year, on a life stage that you really enjoy. And so I was wondering if you could also talk about that too.
Well, that's a very long question, but it's all good.
No big deal. Just asking you about like all of your life story. It's fine.
Yeah. So once my college eligibility expired, with the deflating balloon style, I took my first real kind of coaching job at Willamette University in Salem, Oregon, and I was the men's cross country assistant coach. All at the same time, because my presence there was really only required, 2 or 3 days a week. So I also was like, well, I'm in the area. I was finishing up my degree at a at Western Oregon University, which is about 20 minutes away. But I was trying to fill that time, and so I volunteered with North Salem High School. Go Vikes! So I kind of got to work with the high school kids. I got to work with the college age group, and I knew I was basically 22 or 23 and coaching these college age athletes, and that was a mistake on my part to really. I was there to learn a lot. There's really great coaches there, Matt McGurk and Kelly Sullivan, and those guys that were in charge of the program. I was able to learn a lot. But in terms of my interactions with those guys and feeling like I had some sense of additional knowledge or authority as basically, their peer, wasn't the greatest fit for me at the time. I definitely found a better connection with those kids at North Salem. And so I found myself like, this is my volunteer coaching gig and this one's my paid one, but like, I'd rather be over here with those kids just because they became very much more open to, learning from someone like myself at the time. But I had one term left of college. I finished that up and then ended up getting, I moved back to my hometown of Florence, and I was helping Chris Johnson back at Cy Slaw, and we were coaching this distance runners. And so I did that for about 2.5 years with the cross country and track program. And like I said before, he was a big mentor for me, both as a coach and, as a human being, on what I wanted to do. And yes, he was my coach for the last couple of years, but, we became friends as we kind of moved into adulthood and things like that. And so there kind of became another one of those, life-altering moments. I'd lived my entire life within about a 70-mile radius, between growing up and going off to college and then coming back home. Is like, I just need to figure out, like, am I a good human being, or am I a good professional, or am I a good coach, or anything like that? So I did what anybody would do, is, packed up my wife and 2.5-year-old daughter, and we moved all the way to the East Coast into Maine. Seems pretty normal. It wasn't quite that rash, but it's good. It's pretty close. Wow. So at the time in Florence, I was my first real job was as the athletic director for a Boys and Girls Club. So I spent a lot of time around youth sports and putting leagues together and dealing with sponsorships and things of that nature. And so I kind of took those skills, and then I started working for a program in Brunswick, Maine, at the Naval Air Station in Brunswick. So I ran their youth program for about almost 3 years, but that base was scheduled to be closed. But kind of coincidentally, where all those active duty people were being transferred to was Jacksonville, Florida. And it just happened that the same job that I had became open. So this was another opportunity to, a larger program, more kids, more staff, more responsibilities, those sort of things. So it's kind of doing what I was already doing, but on a much larger scale. So, after spending almost 3 years in Maine, which we loved, my son was born in Maine at the time. And so it's like, again, we did what everybody did, take these young kids, and then we moved to Florida. Which
Oregon to Maine to Florida is an excellent corner of the country. Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So obviously the next logical move is kind of go to Southwest and, be like San Diego.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm not conventional that way. So after about 4 years in Florida, I went back to Maine, so we're retracing steps. Wasn't with any Navy youth programs anymore, but I started working with the YMCA in Bar Harbor, Maine. So that was that was where, I kind of continued my career working with kids and families. And I did, everything from youth sports to after school programs to childcare to summer camps and all that sort of stuff. So I worked with kids, as young as, 6 weeks old to primarily 12 at the time. So just spent all told, between my, start to end of working with the kids and families was about 20 years. But in the last 7 of that was, I was I was coaching at Mount Desert Island High School, Go Trojans, in Bar Harbor. And so I got to work with the indoor track program, outdoor and cross country teams. And that's really where, my main passion for coaching really started to develop, was kind of being reunited with this high school age group, because you get such a wide range of kids, and I see a lot of myself in those kids a lot of the times. Well, a lot of my younger self, not anymore, but a lot of my younger self, in that, like, they don't know anything, but they know everything.
Yeah, totally.
There's nothing more confident than a 16-year-old.
Yep.
So, so I started to really build a good program there. We, if you're talking just accolades, we won the state title for track for the first time in school history, and indoor and outdoor, and we won a couple for cross country and those sort of things. And all those were great. And I will celebrate a state championship as much as anybody, school records, all those sort of things. But I guess at my ultimate core is, seeing those kids that were misplaced, wrong event fits, like I was. It was like, I'm a 100-meter runner. It's like, you're just not. So we kind of took that mindset and that approach, and had kids that were running 40 plus minute 5Ks, and it takes them an hour to run 100 meters and all this kind of stuff. And, like, I mean, between you and I, those are terrible marks. They're just not good. But you better believe that every fiber of my being celebrated just as much as I would a state championship. Anytime those kids, go from 40 minutes in the 5K to 39, it's like, that's still not very good, but dang it, you improved and you got way better. You've done something that you've never done before in your life. Okay. And you did that through constantly showing up, constantly, putting out that effort, and just trying to make yourself a better athlete. And that's kind of where my main driver for coaching comes from. Is not, I love fast. Fast is amazing. Big marks, high jump, pole vault, discus, all those other events within track are fantastic. But it's those kids that are starting to figure it out, and they start putting pieces together. Like, that's what really drives me a lot in that coaching sphere.
Totally. I love that. I know you also, I think, I don't even know this because I was going to ask you about it, but you'll probably just gloss over, but didn't you win a coaching award in Maine? Like a big coaching award? For you, I mean, not for the state title. Yeah. Talk about this.
I mean, yes, I was, a couple times, league coach of the year, state coach of the year, or whatever. And as the at the end of the meet where they present these sort of things, I bring my team together at the end, and it's like, these sort of awards are fantastic. They're really great, but ultimately, like, they're representative of what you guys do. If I do the same, if I give you the same motivational speech or whatever, if we have the same workout plans and you guys aren't as good as you are, you're not willing to put in that work, nothing about me has changed, but it's you guys. Like, these awards, these coaching awards, are representative of what you guys do, because they're not going to give it to me just because, well, I heard you're a nice guy, and I heard you really enjoy it.
I think it all is part of it, but yeah, I hear you, and that's why you're a good coach, is because you don't, like, you share the credit with your team. No, I think that's it's really cool to hear you talk about it and to hear like the way that you talk, the way that you light up about like being able to have an impact on these kids' lives. And I think, and like, you're right, like the 16-year-old, oh, that confidence is so true. It's so like, I know everything and I know nothing. I know nothing and I know everything. Yeah. And then, so I'm actually, as you're talking about this, I'm realizing like, I'm pretty sure that's why we became friends or were introduced in the first place. Like Ryan, I remember, came up to me and was like, you got to meet Aaron. He's from Maine, or he moved here from Maine or something, like moved back from Maine. And I was like, yeah. Like, obviously, and I just talk about the state so much on this podcast, so people are like, oh my God, shut it. But I am obsessed with the state. And I think that like the second I knew, like, I don't know, it just takes there's just a certain like, I don't know, there's something about like living for many years year round in that state. It's like gets, and like, you know, the same can be said for parts of the Midwest or the Northwest, whatever it is, like, and maybe Florida too. I don't know, but I just felt like I knew, I was like, oh, I like know this vibe and I'm excited to meet this guy. And so when we met and you started going to the Maine accent, I was like, instantly, I was like, oh, I know we're going to be buds. Like, okay. Sure idea. I was like, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Just racing from my next nor'easter.
Exactly. I was like, we're going to be best friends. Which we are. So you came back, I think it was, did you say 2022 is when you moved back? So then that would have been like
22,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so then that makes sense as to why I was introduced to you that way, because I think that's like right around where we met.
I spent the last year, my last year in Maine, kind of doing remote work with Daybreak, just on a part-time level.
Interesting.
You know, so I would come out for race weeks, and then I go back to Maine. So I spent about a year doing that. And really, you know, the primary reason for that is, you know, it just wasn't a real very good time for our family. My daughter's a junior in high school. I wasn't going to move her across the country for her senior year. So another year, my daughter graduated from MDI, and now she's just about to graduate from the University of Oregon, which, you know, she was born in Eugene. And so it's kind of a big full circle moment. And, you know, last Saturday, at the time, my son was going from 8th grade into high school. So which is a little bit tricky time, but, you know, he's an extremely smart, tough, resilient kid. You know, he navigated his way through high school here, and he just graduated on Saturday. So it's been a
wow, this is
pretty
quite
big,
the year.
Pretty big couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, congratulations. That's exciting. Yeah. And you've along with like joining Daybreak in a more full-time capacity, we could call it, or maybe don't let me put words in your mouth, but you've also continued coaching. We've already done it. Too late. Like what have the last couple of years looked like in terms of Daybreak? I mean, what's so cool, like to be having, like, I participated in your events so long ago and was such a fan of Daybreak from like the initial outset in Oregon, and to see what it has become. And then of course, like obviously there's a bias in here being a huge fan of yours and Jeremy's, but also, you know, having my partner so. Exactly. But also having like the Free Trail family be a part of some of these races with you. Like what was it like to kind of come back, and maybe it was overnight, maybe it was a gradual process, but like join the Daybreak team in a bigger way and continue coaching? Like, how has that been? And also, like, how sad were you to leave Maine is another question. No, but like, yeah, I mean, because that's a pretty big transition, I feel like, over the last few years.
Yeah, no, it totally was. You know, when I kind of came on with Daybreak, Jeremy's like really the person of all the staff, and you know, so he was taking on a lot, everything from, you know, top to bottom, volunteer recruitment, sponsorship, dealing with permitting agencies, like literally everything. He was doing it all. And I think at the time, you know, I think he had 4-ish, maybe 5 official events. But as you know, he knew he wanted to grow things, and he just, like, I think fairly randomly, he's like, how cool would it be, you know, if you and I did this together? And this was way like in the early days, but well before it even became, possible reality. But he's super good about being creative with different routes, and I think that's one of his big hobbies is map making and map building, and he loves to create, like, hey, would this be possible? And it's like, well, no, but what if there was a connector here? It's like, oh, there is. So he's always got a lot of really fun ideas, and those things are able to grow into reality. But in order for that to actually become true, he's got to bring on additional people, because ultimately he can't do everything himself, which nobody can. So the stars aligned, to where the timing really worked out for myself and the fam to come out and help things grow. And now we're at 11 or 12 events throughout the course of the year. So things have grown significantly over the last 4 years, but it's been more than just adding events. It's building those relationships with local permitting agencies, local organizations, to help go from 200 to 300 or 400 people. As we've seen, just using the gorge waterfalls as an example of when we first started doing that one, it was in the 200 to 250 range, and now it's at 450. But those come through trust and building relationships, and saying that we can do this, we can handle it, and here's the proof. And it's like, oh yeah, you guys are great, you're doing a great job. And so that was kind of the main driver behind me joining Daybreak, was just the opportunity to work with my brother and be outside. And when I left Oregon initially, it's like, I need to go find myself, and I need to figure out, like, hey, am I any good at being a human being? And so it was like 15 years of living on the East Coast between Maine twice and Florida to find my way back to Oregon. And coming back, it's been fantastic, because I've kind of gotten to that point where I really appreciate where I am versus like when I was here and this is all I knew. So just that I'm back home, and I don't live in Florence anymore, but I'm at a spot where that I'm really happy. I enjoy my natural surroundings. I enjoy my accessibility to getting into like Mount Hood National Forest, and just how easy that sort of stuff is. And so I just have a deeper level of appreciation for being back in Oregon. That said, it was extremely hard to leave Maine. It really was. There's so much.
I know.
There's so much connection between the people and mindset and outdoor, outdoor first type of people. People love being on the ocean. They love being on the lakes, and they love skiing and hiking and all that sort of stuff. And Acadia National Park was my literal backyard.
That's so wild. I'm so jealous.
Carriage Road access, and so we made so many good lifelong friends there, and met so many great people. I worked with, coaching wise, I worked with so many good young kids that have become great young adults. A lot of staff, a lot of coworkers that I've had. I still try to stay connected with a lot of them, and that's been, I don't think you get to that point without really being invested in the community and the people that you're working with. So yeah, it was really difficult to leave Maine, but I'm happy with where my feet are. So
I love that, and I completely get it, because I'm, like, as you know, constantly torn between like loving being in the Northwest, being back in the Northwest, because I used to live in Portland, moved away. This Portland, Oregon. I always have to clarify, because I'm from the other Portland, but like, it's always a little confusing. But yeah, it's the Northwest and Maine, like New England, yes, but I guess Maine specifically are always just such, like, have a really special place in my heart, and they're very like, to me, I think we both live, but like even Washington to me feels like the most similar to Maine that I've ever felt outside of Maine. Like the San Juans, clearly, I'm just always I'm like homesick wherever I am, if that makes sense. I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
As you might imagine. But it's cool to see you guys. Shocking. I think it's just so cool to like watch you both all build a business around like helping people get outside in safe, organized ways, and then also yourself getting to spend time outside. You guys put on like you wear a lot of hats in this job.
Yeah,
like you are both like, you know, you're the mic on the mic RD, you're also like doing permitting, you know, you're setting up. I mean, as evidenced by our, well, there was one year at Big Alta where you handed me so many bags of like Cheerios and pretzels that I like had for years after that. You know, it's like you're dealing with food, you're dealing with waste, you know, like all these pieces that I feel like, yeah, props to the sustainability behind Daybreak, because you guys do not waste and you give food to local neighbors, which was me at the time. But no, I just admire like all the hats you guys have to wear. And I know that's true of the Free Trail guys too when they do those co-races with you, but like it's amazing to see it too from like Tillamook or Perpetua or whatever it is. Like you guys are always kind of have to be like many different roles within Daybreak at any given time. Maybe that's changing now, I don't know, as you get bigger, but it's really cool. In summary.
Yeah. Thank you for answering my question. You did so well.
Not even a question, just like me being a fan of you guys. But yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, I think that you're spot on. We do, all of us wear a lot of different hats. You know, I think in part that's by design, because it keeps things moving, keeps things fresh, and keeps things exciting. So every time we go do a different race, it's in a different location with different requirements and considerations, and all those sort of things. You know, if you, I knew that when I was in college, like I did not want to be a teacher. I did several stints as a student teacher. It was like, I got to teach this. And then 45 minutes later, I'm doing it again. 45 minutes later, I'm doing it again and again and again. So it's nothing, there's nothing like that with what we do right now at Daybreak. And, you know, I think what I really like about the things that we do is that we create opportunities to get people outside where they can't do it any other way except for their own 2 feet. You know, short of like a helicopter dropping them in. If they want to see this view, and I promise you it's worth it, like you got to get yourself out there. You know, and we create opportunities to kind of have a safety net to help you get out there and progress along the way. But you know, if you're out there and you see it and you really take it in and like kind of one of those deep breaths, like I feel like that's where, you know, you and I connect over the climate side of stuff. Is like, if you see it, you're more likely to want to take care of it. And that's, you know, that's my personal feelings about like why we do the things that we do and why we select the locations that we do. Is like, you have to see this because it's so amazing. It really, truly is. But if you see it, you know, like you're going to savor it. You're going to say, like, this has to be kept for my kids or the next generation or whatever. So that's kind of a big driver for me personally, is like, I want to create these places or these routes or these events to where you can get out and you can go see it. Because when you do, you're going to love it. I promise you that. It might be a type 2 type of love initially, but but you'll love it. And that's why, you know, I want you guys to see this and so that you can have an opportunity to protect it. Yeah, you mentioned like the Tillamook burn. There's no running water where we host this, so we fill up you know, like a literal 100 you know, 7 or 8 gallon water jugs, and we load them into a truck, and then we drive them out there, and then we unload them, and then we've got to move them all around. And we did the math, and it's like 7 tons worth of water weight that we're just kind of shifting and loading. It's like, give me that all day versus being on the mic and people listening to my voice.
It's a different kind of energy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, totally.
Expending of energy.
But I don't know if your viewers are familiar with your story. You know, as you came across that finish line at the burn.
Well, please tell them what
happened.
Y'all, what happened, Aaron?
Oh, we're gonna. So we're at the finish line. I'm on the mic, as we've just discussed, and we're waiting.
Yeah.
And waiting.
So long.
And waiting.
The longest wait.
Long.
Gosh, where is she?
And Yeah, right. Like people was like, "Do we need to send out search and rescue? Like, who do
People
we
were like,
call?" I was
is
like, "There's
she
no cell service out here."
DFL? Is she gonna make
Right?
cutoff? Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
it was seconds away from sending out, you know, emergency
Ryan.
rescue squad,
Kidding.
and and then here you come around the final bend because you can't see the finish line until you're literally like 20 yards away. So here you come, just limping away, and just full body cramps and just falling apart. Just wheels going crazy,
Wheels are
and
not
all I
even
hear is
there.
just shouting that you need something and whatever. And as you get closer and closer, it's like I'm wondering, like, is she gonna make it at all? Like she's 5 feet away, and I still have I don't know if she's gonna make it. But somehow, some way, you persevered and you made it across that finish line, and then it was like this immediate collapse, and
Wow.
cue
Okay,
the
you're making this
dramatics. Yeah,
so dramatic. Collapse? Did I
well,
collapse on the
it
ground?
was.
Mm-mm.
You were on the
Mm-mm.
ground, like
No, where did I go? Where did I
occupying.
collapse into? The chair.
Um, well, we had to bring the chair because there wasn't normally a chair there. It's like this because we've never been in a situation where someone came across a finish line completely falling apart
Okay.
until it's like, okay, I guess now we're gonna have chairs here. Uh, so
Wait a minute. You
you're
brought
on the
the
ground
chair?
occupying the finish line space,
Yeah, just
and
sprawled
people are
out
trying to finish, and they're
and
having
like
to like
stepping
hurdle
over
over
me.
you. It's like, I've just ran 20 miles and now I got to hurdle this person.
Yeah.
So eventually we got you in the chair, and I think you were there for what, an hour and a half. People were bringing you things, snacks, and you're like,
well, at one point,
water,
yeah, snapping.
water, please.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
Water. At one point I had Dylan and Eric George massage. This sounds so weird, but like one massaging each calf, and I was like, I have to get used to this. This is great. This is amazing.
So you were getting double calf massages because your calves were both locking
baseballs.
up. Yeah,
they were not. I've never had this before. Oh my god, that was such a. We don't even need to dwell, but that experience was like really horrifying. I was like, I don't know what is happening to my body. I've never had this before. I can't walk. And yes, Aaron, as you identified, I was what I like to call like the last 2 miles were like me as Frankenstein, because I couldn't like bend anything. It was just like full cramps. I forgot you brought the chair for me. But then does the chair now make an appearance every year at the finish line?
At the burn,
I believe.
So as I'm waiting for runners to come in, and I'm on the mic, and it's just me in the chair, in honor of Addie's dramatic performance.
Which you send me a photo of every year now. You say, "Here's your throne."
Yeah, you're here in spirit. Empty chair waiting, and you know what? No one's ever filled it, so we never had quite the scene as we did that year. So.
But then
to your credit year, and your defense, it was like it's been hot. Mid-50s like all season long.
Thank you.
And then all of a sudden, like it's 90. It was literally 90 plus degrees that day on your day. So you got a little bit of defense there.
Thank you for that. I appreciate you bringing that in. Also on a climate podcast, we're talking about heat and not being prepared for it. Okay, I feel like. Wow, we didn't even hit the 4-hour mark the way that we wanted to. I mean, I guess I was sort of the only other, you kind of got into this like general idea of like, I love what you said about like providing access to these spaces helps. Like there's literal science. I always reference the science behind this, but like I actually need to go find the link. But it's like there are studies around like providing access to green spaces and putting people in those spaces like leads to feelings of conservation and environmentalism and wanting to protect those spaces. And so it's really cool that like Daybreak is doing that as part of that. I was just curious, like to me, putting on a race is so intensive in terms of like setup and energy. I think that you guys do a really good job, which I think is like really like it's very impressive. I think a lot of people feel like brands included are like, we don't want to talk about our sustainability because we're not sure if we do it right. You know what I mean? And I like never want to put anybody in that place. But I think you guys do such a good job. That's all. That's kind of where I was going with that. But for what it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like, things that are perishable foods. You mentioned like aid station. Like, once we want to be able to provide enough foods to have for all the runners to feel adequate. Like, I needed this, and that was there. And we heard a lot of stuff from other people's experiences about different races. I got there and they were cleaned out. And it's like, we don't want to get there. We want from that front end elite to DFL to be supported, and we want to have them have the foods that they need and resupply to move on into the next aid station or to the finish line. But that's a very inexact science. When it comes to building aid stations and supplying the exact number so that you end up with zero waste. So we things like weather. It's always 50 degrees, but now it's 90. So what are people going to need more so than the next time or last year? So it's always a little bit of a sliding scale where weather and actually where we're physically hosting the race at. If it's at elevation, they're going to need more of this or less of that, or the time of year. All those sort of things factor into what we supply and those sort of things. And there is oftentimes stuff that we can't reuse. A bundle of grapes or bananas only lasts so long. So giving those out to kind of anybody that will take them, just so that they get used and they don't go to waste. And Addie Thompson.
Literally so many things in my kitchen for a year after, not the bananas necessarily, but all the chips and stuff I took home.
So things like that are open that we can't reuse. If it's an unopened jar of pickles, for example, and we've got another race in 2 weeks, I'm like, we're going to save that and reuse that for the next race. But things that have that are going to go bad if they don't get eaten in one way or another, and we try to get those out into as many hands as possible, and just so that it doesn't go to waste. So
no, that's great. I mean, I think you guys do a really good job with it. And I know it's a tough thing to nail, because it's like, as you said, the weather and all these varying factors. And then people might be really into this one kind of food and, not necessarily taking another. And it's tough. I mean, I know also I can really blame my race performance at the 20 miler on your lack of salt. I can't even say it with a straight face. No, but no, it's like, I really, in all seriousness, I do appreciate all that you guys do and all the thought that goes into making the race. Like, obviously, first and foremost, like, of course, the environment. I'm not saying the environment is like a second thought or anything for you guys, but like, first and foremost is human health and like it's like the human experience and healthy like finishers. I don't know. I've got to believe like that's the priority, right? Which makes complete sense. Safety, like medical attention if needed. And so it's like, yes, we want to reduce waste as much as possible, but we also want to like make sure we have enough XYZ food so that people can like make it to the finish line in a safe way. And also maybe some people don't like a lot of runners carry their own thing, right? We're not relying just on aid stations, which is why I had the salt tabs with me. But like, it's definitely, it's an interesting kind of game to get right. I'm sure it's like a whole level of consideration. I'll chat with Jeremy about it too. No, but
I guarantee you that nobody wants you to be or get to the finish line more than we do. So we want to do everything that we can, to help you do that, whether that's aid stations or course markings appropriately and all those sort of things. But there's 1,000 different moving parts for every event and every person and every personality in every region, all the things that kind of get considered and factored into that sort of stuff. So
absolutely. What is I am gonna close us down because we're covering so much ground, and I also want to like let you go about your day. Um, what is the next? What is your summer look like? Like, what's the next few months look like for you guys? And do you do okay? A double question: do you do in the 11, 12 events you do per year? Is it like one a month, or not so much because you have to do like more summer seasonal stuff? Like, what does your year look like, Aaron? Tell me the
Uh,
calendar.
a little bit of it varies year to year, kind of finding each event's sweet spot,
Mm-hmm.
and how it balances with the preceding or the upcoming event after that. Uh, we're uh, kind of cognizant of not going every weekend, as challenging as that aspect can be. So getting things spaced up far enough apart to where we have a chance to host the event, but clean up the event and prepare for the upcoming one, but also like have a chance for everybody to just take a breath. Uh, because I think you know working for 6 weeks every day from dawn till dusk is a quick way to not do it very long. So trying to appropriately time it for this area is inaccessible during the summer because high tourism or whatever. This area is inaccessible in the winter because it's under 40 feet of snow, or so our events are based around weather and what's accessible and what's permittable. Um, so so right now, we had our last event was the Burn this year, and that was mid-May. And normally we have Cape Mountain, which is kind of that first weekend in June. This year we kind of had to put it on hiatus, simply because uh, a lot of personal family commitments. Like I said, my son graduated high school, my daughter's graduating college. My wife and I are celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary. So there's like all these things that are just and then trying to move that event later becomes the area where we stage it becomes inaccessible. uh so there's a lot of parts where Cape Mountain had just like we just don't have a weekend to do it. So it'll come back next year, which is kind of why I keep saying 11 and 12 events. So this year we have 11. Next year we'll be back to that dozen. So this month we just Jeremy and I and Gordy and a couple of our super awesome volunteers went down to the Upper Rogue River where we host an event in October, Rogue Gorge. We spent 2 days working to get the trail cleared of down bogs and things like that. We finished the 2 day with 292 logs that we cleared out.
Oh my gosh.
In about a 12-mile stretch of trail.
Jeez.
So that feels pretty good.
I was just gonna say, like, props to you guys, like, for the course marking you do and the trail clearing you do. Like, Ryan comes off of some of those days being like, it's the hardest day of the year, because you're not just running, you're not just focusing on your fueling, like you're literally not focusing on that at all. You're focusing on like marking the course or like cleaning the course, and it's a lot of work. So props to you guys for that. That's like, yeah, that's next level.
So we covered 12 miles in those first 2 days. We've got another trail work party coming up on the 23rd and 24th of June. So it's here in another couple of weeks. We'll go down again, and we'll kind of continue to that log out and that tread improvement process. So looking forward to that. It's actually it kind of really speaks to Jeremy and I's both more blue collar roots of just having a tool in your hand and just kind of grinding away, which is some people's approach to covering those long ultra distances. But for me anyway, it's like I could do this all day. And it's hard work, and it can be certainly type 2, but you get those immediate rewards when you've got a jackstraw pile of logs, and then you've reopened the trail to make it more accessible to people, and you kind of look back and it's like that's what I'm talking about. So yeah, So we'll do that. We've got a training camp for the Hood 100, our 100 miler, which is scheduled for August 1st and 2nd. We're doing a training camp for that here on the 19th, 20th, and 21st of June. We are hosting Daybreak is hosting an aid station for SOB down in Ashland. So we get to go down there and kind of just be part of the fun in a different way. I did that last year. My wife and I did that last year as part of leading an aid station at a place called Pot Liquor for the 100K, which was super fun. So we've got a lot of things like that are coming up, and just finding ways to spend time outside, because I think ultimately that's what it gets back to, whether you're doing trail work or volunteering at another race, and giving back to them as they've given to us, and just opportunities to be again outside and enjoying it. So
that's so cool. And it's such a great way the community relates to each other. The trail community is so strong on that. Like, running an aid station, if it's not your race, it's like showing up for each other in a different way. And I've seen it with Yassine and the Wahis Wolfpack for so long, like how I got into like running aid stations with them through them, and I was like, this is awesome. It's so fun to kind of be volunteering and involved in that way. So very cool. And like, thank you for taking the time to even have this conversation amidst all of these exciting graduations and milestones. Thank you for, it sounds like you've had like quite a busy May and June. So I really appreciate you setting aside the time for this. And also, hell yeah, we did it. We did the thing we said we were always going to do, which was have a podcast episode. We've made it happen.
Yeah, we did great. It. It's, after Gorge, we kind of had our main team of Daybreak and Free Trail folks just kind of sitting around having dinner, and and Ryan and I were having kind of our own little sidebar for most of it, and just having a great time. So obviously your name came up, and it's like, right, let me tell you, I would never ever tell Addie this to her face, but she's one of my favorite people. I just love her to death, but I would never tell her that. So please don't pass that along.
Yeah.
So for us to kind of make the dream come true, I'm stoked.
It means a lot, and it's very, very mutual. And he may or may not have passed that along, but to say it to you now is also very exciting. And I just think the world of you, and I'm so excited. Like, as I came into the Free Trail family, if you will, many years ago, like, to get to just hang out with you has been like my favorite part of those races. Like, I literally probably only came down to Big Alta to hang out with you. Let's be real. Ryan was like, who are you gonna hang with? I was like, too. Aaron.
End of sentence.
End of sentence. That's it. But yeah, I appreciate you so much, and all that you guys do, all that you do, and all that Daybreak does for the trail community. And I don't even know if we want to talk about when we're going to see each other next, but hopefully soon. Hopefully very soon.
Yeah, hopefully soon.
Find a way. I don't know if he's shooting Hood 100. Anyways, we'll talk about it, but thank you. Thank you for your time. This was so fun. I really enjoyed having you on. I hope you enjoyed it too. Was it too scary? It wasn't bad. Hopefully.
I barely wiped my palms on my shirt at any point. So like my hands stopped sweating. So I feel good about that. So
That's great. Like I did well. That means, that actually means I like take that quite well, because then you were comfortable. I know, like the maybe.
Yeah, just like being on the mic. I love it.
You love being on the mic. I know you do. That's true. Okay, we're gonna take you off the mic.